Be generative is a term that we at International Arts Movement developed as part of our third language conversation. And what we mean by that is we want to speak into culture at large with convictions that we have about this reality, this biblical reality. But we need to do it in a way that can translate both the limitations of our conversation and how the communities tend to misinterpret these things. That's how culture wars begin, you know. And people are not as careful to use these terms, especially in the media. So we've come up with a whole set of vocabulary that has not been tainted by the media yet, and rehumanizing culture is one of them. Be generative is another, and by that, be generative, I do not mean something that is automatically regenerating technologically. But I have three terms that's connected with the same root word. Being generative means being generous, and it means to go beyond self-expression and to be able to use your creativity to serve the needs of the world, but at the same time knowing that how God has created us to be is essential in order to tap into that reality and being able to grow out of that. Being generative is also generational. It's to see ourselves as a catalyst for a conversation that would endure through time, hopefully. And we should be making our art with not just, you know, 5-week span or 5 months or 5 years or 50 years. We should be making our art with 500-year span in mind. And you know, we don't have to be conscious of that. If we are faithful in small things, that's what we're indeed doing. But at the same time, I think our education system has often forced us to be very pragmatic and lose sight of the most important enduring quality of anything that we do. And I use the word generative as kind of a way to think about almost everything I do. And to ask myself, well, am I being generative here? Whether it be problem solving, immediate problems, or long range, or my art. I say that I say in my video for the Four Holy Gospels video that we need to transgress in love, and people ask me, what do you mean by that? You know, and in the world of contemporary art, the word transgress has become a way of being. You know, it's maybe the only way that an artist can exist today. And so I use that term, but I'm obviously not talking about you know, biblical transgression, which means to sin, and obviously that's not what I'm advocating for. but in a way, you know, when I think when there's gospel confidence in what we do, we are able to see everything through the lens of grace and be able to articulate something that may seem to be transgressive to cultural norms, but that are truthful and prophetic. that really needs to be said to awaken ourselves out of our complacency and comfort. And artists have a way of doing this just instinctively, but we need to be able to train that and to bring that under this from this immediate impulse to have a knee-jerk reaction to some issue, to this enduring conversation that love can bring. And by that, because I believe love is the bottom line of anything we do, whether it be our businesses, our educational goals, our healthcare, as well as the arts. 1 Corinthians 13 is the bottom line that we need to aim towards, and I'm sure we will find ourselves falling very far short of that reality. But nevertheless, love is creative and love is generative. Love actually moves us beyond our comfort zones to embrace the other. And sacrificial love, and all of the loves that we can identify, philos and agape and eros, they are a way that God can operate in the world to rehumanize the very, very dysfunctional, dehumanized realities. And the arts have this fundamental reality that every time we create, that we are entering this possibility of creating something in love. And if we can do that, then what we have offered to the world will be multiplied, will become generative. When you look at the critical aesthetic dialogue, there's always this question of form and content. That's been an age-long discussion, and many people fall on either side, or not wanting to integrate them at all, or to have it fused completely, and all ideologies fall short in that, whether you're talking about synthesis and integration, or whether you're talking about separation of them, we cannot attain the ideals that we espouse. And so then what is the reality that we can look towards? The incarnation, the babe in the manger, is a gift that has entered this world, and probably the only example of something perfectly fusing of the divine nature of Christ and the human nature of Christ. And therefore, that perfect fusing is, as a aesthetic standard or a paradigm, is something that an artist can believe in because it's historic. It's a reality that is there physically in the world. And in order to have the courage to create, you have to have a foundation that allows this powerful reality to be broken open by what we do, and to believe that makes a huge difference. To believe that the incarnation happened, that the fusing of form and content happened, and the message became a person. the idea, the logos, became flesh. And if we can believe that, then what we do as artists becomes this critical way of re-engaging with that miracle, and to allow people, invite people into a process in which they can discover that for themselves. And that's why the arts are so critical to the message of the gospel, because we really can't understand that mystery without artists' language and voice and music and flowing in to enrich our conversations about this very problematic issue of form and content. Well, prayer is central to humanity, I think. Whether you are cognizant of God who invites us to pray, and to me that means speaking to this divine being directly, but also listening. And so prayer is this creative process that allows us to listen well. And so for creativity, it's essential that we have this language of empathy toward the world, and understanding our own brokenness and wretchedness and reality that we are limited in our capacity to create. But at the same time, we have been given this enormous potential. So to me, when you look at the prayers of the saints of the past, you see this constant navigation between their confession of who they want to be but cannot be, who they have become that they have not wanted to become, and also, but at the same time, this reality of how we can transcend these limitations and become kind of a people, and we do become what we worship. So, and to me, creativity is a way, and the arts tap into that conversation, that dialogue, because it's a very intuitive conversation within, and we need people in our communities to really be able to articulate what is happening collectively in our communities. And oftentimes artist types, intuitive types are the ones that can articulate those things through their songs, through their dance, through their art. But at the same time, we also need to translate that into a common vernacular. But to me, when we pray, we're in a sense being artists. And we are asking ourselves to enter into this mystery of the divine. And oftentimes we don't necessarily have answers, but we can be confident of being heard.